Change leaders effectively address legitimate concerns. On February 21, 2022, Russian President Vladimir Putin declared the Luhansk People's Republic and Donetsk People's Republic independent from Ukraine, escalating long-standing tensions. In a televised address, he recognized of these regions which had been under separatist control since 2014. This event marked a pivotal moment in a conflict deeply rooted in historical identity, NATO's eastward expansion, and competing security concerns. Putin justified his move as a defensive action to protect Russian-speaking populations and counter what he saw as an unacceptable NATO presence on Russia's borders. This was a concern he had repeatedly voiced over the years, including at the Munich Security Conference on February 10, 2007, when he was direct and explicit. Ukraine and its allies, however, viewed it as an unlawful aggression violating international law and Ukraine's sovereignty. NATO's 1999 expansion into former Soviet-influenced states, including Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic, heightened Russia's warnings, which escalated further when Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania joined in 2004. Russia had increasingly warned that Ukraine's membership would be a red line. The Donbas region had been a flashpoint since Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, resulting in over 14,000 deaths. While Ukraine sought NATO support to secure its sovereignty, Russia framed its actions as necessary to prevent Western military infrastructure from being established within striking distance of Moscow. The international response was swift. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session, with Western nations condemning Putin's actions and imposing sanctions. For Russia, however, the move was a defensive maneuver against what it saw as NATO's continuous disregard for its security concerns. Just 3 days later, this crisis escalated into the largest military invasion in Europe since World War II, reshaping not only Ukraine, but also global power dynamics. When change is imposed without addressing legitimate concerns, it can provoke defensive responses rather than cooperation. Change leadership lessons. A deep understanding of historical tensions, security dynamics, and stakeholder concerns is essential for effective change leadership. When transformation efforts overlook or dismiss legitimate fears, they risk triggering defensive resistance rather than fostering cooperation. Leaders of change must recognize and address security sensitivities, as ignoring them can trigger defensive reactions and resistance to transformation. They often face opposition from legacy power structures, where entrenched leaders resist change to maintain control and stability. Change leaders must acknowledge unresolved tensions, as failing to address historical grievances can escalate conflicts and hinder progress. They can prevent crises by fostering open dialogue, ensuring that all stakeholders feel heard and engaged in the transformation process. Leaders of change must remain strategically adaptable, continuously reassessing evolving dynamics to navigate complexities and drive sustainable progress. Summary leadership quote: Change leaders must recognize resistance, address tensions, foster dialogue, challenge entrenched structures, and adapt strategically to drive sustainable transformation. Organizational change application. When organizational change is implemented without addressing legitimate concerns, it inevitably triggers defensive responses throughout the hierarchy. This defensive posture is particularly evident among senior leadership, where entrenched power structures become fortified barriers against transformation. These defensive mechanisms manifest in various forms, from overt opposition to subtle resistance through misinformation campaigns, trust erosion, or determined maintenance of the status quo. Left unaddressed, These defensive responses can escalate as leaders form protective coalitions, creating increasingly rigid obstacles to progress. To prevent such defensive escalation, senior leadership and the sponsor must proactively engage with stakeholder concerns before implementing major changes. Change leaders should maintain high visibility and regular stakeholder engagement, ensuring that legitimate concerns are acknowledged and incorporated into the broader strategic vision. Resistance management requires carefully designed interventions that address underlying concerns while creating clear pathways toward new ways of working. To ensure a smooth transition, leaders must engage stakeholders without provocation, particularly when concerns have been explicitly communicated.